Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of Conversations with Chris and Cameron. We're going to be talking about UK versus Valparaiso, recapping that game, but also talking about the big rivalry between UK versus Louisville. But first, we also want to mention UK is still ranked number 9 in the AP poll. They did not move up any spots. I was expecting maybe UK to move up maybe one or two spots, but sadly, that was not the case, Cameron.
Yeah, I was hoping to see maybe one spot, but there really wasn't a whole lot of shakeup overall. But keep the mojo the right way. Number nine, that's the assignment. So let's just stay there for a while.
Yeah, I'd stay there for a little bit. Hey, I would like to get to number one eventually, though.
Yeah, I'd like to make the jump from nine to one if we could just figure out some way to do that. Let's just go win by like 40 something tomorrow, and I think it'll be undeniable.
I agree, and maybe potentially UK have moved would have been able to move up a spot if they blew out Nicole State. Of course, they struggled in the very first game of the year, but then they blew out Valparaiso 107 to 59. It was not even close, and honestly, like I was so surprised because, like, of course, we got Jaland Lowe back, Denzel Aberdeen was starting. Of course, Lowe came off the bench, but it was insane how much better the offense was once Jaland Lowe came back for UK.
Oh yeah, no, it was unbelievable. It was like, I mean, everything just was completely different. It felt like it was like the just that one difference that one player can make. And then obviously, I mean, you're getting the mix of him and Denzel, so you're getting a couple different guards that are in it, and it was phenomenal. Every single shot felt way more open. Every single
Mhm.
action felt much smoother. Like it felt like everybody just like felt much better about it. Like every single player.
Mhm.
So yeah, Jalen's impact was definitely seen, and you could see it on the scoreboard, but you could also just kind of feel it throughout the game.
Yeah, and for Jalen Lowe, he didn't really have an insane game. He had 6 points, 2 for 7, 0 for 2 from the three-point line, but he did have 5 assists, which is crucial because he was getting players open and players were shooting and making their shots, and that's the main thing. UK shot 11 for 28 from the three-point line, shot way better compared to Nicole State, and then of course also against Georgetown and Purdue. So I was happy that their three-point percentage improved to 39% against Valparaiso.
Yeah, no doubt. That was the one thing that I remember mentioning a couple times on here was like and I think it was after the Georgetown scrimmage, it was after or the exhibition, and then it was after Nichols where I was like, I think like once Jalen's back, like we'll actually get to see like the 3 point shooting is gonna go up just
Mhm.
because of how much more open it would be. I didn't think it would take this type of leap. Like that was what we were like 28% on average,
28%,
weren't we?
something like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we jump 11% just like
Uh-huh.
that. I didn't think it'd be that jump. I thought it would help open it up a little bit, but you mentioned like he didn't have the best game if you just like look at the numbers, but you could just see
Yeah.
the impact.
Uh,
The
mhm.
second he checked in, he gets the down in the paint, gets his feet in the paint. Everybody kind of gravitates towards him. He kicks it. Denzel hits three. It was like
Mhm.
immediate impact. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the 5 assists is going to be something I think we'll see that type of number, maybe even higher throughout the year.
Yeah, and that there was one play I saw during the game where he had that. I think he was about to turn over the ball, but he was able to get the ball back and then somehow found Colin Chandler in the corner for the three. And I was like, wow, that was just an insane play from him.
Yeah, he had a few of those plays where I was like, what in the world? And then like he also just blows my mind because like the speed is just insane. Like he's just like he had one blow by where it was like the play had kind of stalled for a second. He just kind of like lifted up a little bit and then just like blew by. And I was like, what in the world? Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
There's just not many dudes that can stay in front of that.
Yeah, I agree. But let's get into the player of the game for UK versus Valparaiso. Of course, it had to have been Malachi Moreno in his second career game in college for UK. He got a double-double, 18 points and 10 rebounds, and it was just insane what he was doing off the bench. He also played 21 minutes, and he didn't even have the crazy thing was he didn't even have the best plus minus. He had, I'm not for sure, like the third best plus minus, but he still had a plus 29 on the court, and it's just insane to see that his like what he was able to do while coming off the bench.
Yeah, his performance was just second to none. It was insane. He really just did everything. Like even he only ended up with 3 assists. Like it felt like he had more of an impact passing the ball, but I mean, I feel like I remember a couple like hockey assists too, where he like passed it to create something else. Like he was just an impact all over the place, and the boards, the I mean, the pick and roll was just insane. Like it feels like I don't know if it's just because it was Valparaiso, if we're just going to see that against like everybody this year, but it was unguardable. It was like, I mean, there were times that you would see them not be able to help over and like guard it correctly how you should be. But like even some of them that they did do a good job of like covering it, he'd still just catch it and boom it because he'd grab it halfway up the backboard and punch it home. So like it's going to be something that I think we'll be able to have all year. And then when you have Jaland Lowe being the guy that comes off of that, the speed of him is going to throw
Yeah.
everything off for other teams too. But he definitely feasted off that, and he was just amazing overall, and he continues to be amazing. I think it definitely makes it a lot easier
Mhm.
for BBN and definitely, I mean, the coaching staff and the team in general that he's taken such a huge leap so early. While Brandon Garrison is still the starter, but it's not like we have to rely on BG. Where like if Malachi was
Yeah.
super skinny, wasn't able to be able to fit in these games, like
Mhm.
that's a problem. But now you have two options, legitimate threats as your center while you're waiting on a top five NBA pick to come back.
Yeah, and it's just crazy how much bigger he's gotten since stepping onto campus. Of course, this will be the first big test for Malachi Moreno coming up against Louisville because they've got plenty of big men. They've got Sandra Frew for Louisville along with who else do they do they have? They have
Ali Khalifa,
yeah, can't forget about him.
yeah,
Uh
Kasean Pryor.
Khani Rooths as well. So, like I said, Malachi Moreno's first big test will be against Louisville. So we'll see if he can actually handle with the other big men. And of course, like many people are worrying a little bit about that, saying like, "Oh, they're just playing against weaker competition. He won't be able to handle the actual stronger big men." And we'll see what happens though against this Louisville game.
Yeah, I mean, I like that this is the early test because I mean next week is the one I'm really interested to see because you're going up against next week the most like physical
Mhm.
front court imaginable with Michigan State. So this one I'm interested to see because there's a few different like aspects of it where like their front court for Louisville hasn't been good, but it's
Uh-huh.
still one of the best teams in the country. It's still the front court of a top 15 team. So like you do have that. You're going into their home arena,
Yeah.
and you have the little bit of like hatred that you've had growing up in the state, growing
Mhm.
up just outside of Lexington. Like there's a little bit of extra juice in this one for him. So with all of those things mixed, I am very interested to see like what he ends up being able to do because like some guys don't perform well when they have that pressure like built up in their head. I'm interested to see what he can do as we go up against them.
Yeah, of course, we'll be talking a little bit more about Louisville later on, but we'll continue to talk about the Valparaiso game. Of course, Kentucky blew out Valparaiso 107 to 59, but it's insane how many players were in double digits for Kentucky. They had a total of six players in double digits, and like you never see that at all, but it was just very balanced minutes. Like everybody was scoring. Otego Way, 15 points. Denzel Aberdeen, 12. Colin Chandler, 14. Brandon Garrison, 12. Mo Dioubate, 14. And then, of course, the leading scorer with Malachi Moreno with 18. It's just insane. Like, if UK has six players scoring in double digits every game, they're going to probably win, all their games if that continues to happen.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I just counted and it was nine guys with six plus, or nine guys that scored. I mean, but six plus.
Yeah.
I mean that's insane. Like you mentioned, you're probably not going to have too many problems if you have six guys scoring double digits for you.
Mhm.
That's going to help put a whole lot of points on the board already. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was very very balanced. And I saw somebody on Twitter talking about that where they were like, I didn't get to watch the game. I'll go watch it eventually or something. But they looked at the box score and they were like, well, dang, this is
Mhm.
exactly what you want to see. Like you don't want to go out there and just have like Colin, for example, just score like 40 and then everybody else just have like five. Like I
Mhm.
think the balance is perfect because it also makes it very very difficult to kind of pick your poison on who you're trying
Mhm.
to slow down when you have a guy like Jalen, who I think is very capable of popping off for 25 in a game. He
Yeah.
has six. So it's awesome to see the balance, and I think that's going to be very, very good. And I think probably be something
Mhm.
that we can count on for the rest of the year that you don't have to necessarily rely on any particular guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was like with last year. Of course, UK had so many injuries with Lamont Butler, Kirk Reese, and Jackson Robinson that other players had to step up, like Otego Away or Kobe Bryant. But it's going to continue to be balanced scoring for UK because Mark Pope, that's how his offense runs. Anybody can score on a given night. And I think at one point last year, like, it wasn't like the whole season, but like through November, I think we had six plus players scoring double digits for UK.
Yeah, it was definitely something like that. But yeah, like it was very similar to this last year where it was just there was never somebody you had to particularly like rely on. But this year it's much different because it's like all these guys are high team, like very highly rated programs that they're coming from like Final Four teams, national championship teams, and they're coming over, and those are the pieces that we have doing it now instead of
Mhm.
not that any of the guys last year like weren't capable, but you get some of the best players in the country that are sitting here sharing points across the board, and it's
Mhm.
just it's unbelievable to see like the depth of this team
Mhm.
and seeing them fully healthy, and you
Yeah.
get to see these type of numbers where you have nine different dudes scoring.
Yeah, it's insane. There are only two other players I really want to talk about. Jasper Johnson, he didn't get into double digits. He had 9 points, but the one thing that sticks out to me is he had 5 assists. Of course, I believe three or four of those assists came to lost to Malachi Moreno, and it's just insane the freshman to freshman connection they already have between the two because last year we struggled with lobs. Like we rarely ever threw lobs because nobody could either catch them or throw them down. So I'm glad Mark Pope is changing up the offense a little bit where we're throwing more lobs at the rim a little bit and, players are catching it, dunking it. So I'm happy about that, but glad Johnson at least had 5 assists because, that's what a lot of player or people were worrying about with Johnson coming in that he wasn't a playmaker, he was only more of a scorer. But I mean, he got 5 assists this game.
Yeah, I mean it's only one game, but he kind of shut that narrative down of where people were like, "Oh, he's just going to score, and if he's not scoring, he can't play." I mean, this game it was awesome. And I don't know if that's more of like a just learning from Jalen and Denzel and stuff. But like you mentioned the lobs, like there's just something special about seeing the Woodford County to Scott County like
Yeah.
lob connection. It was like what in the like this is awesome. But and then both of them being freshmen, like you mentioned, like it's crazy that they're this far along already. And then Jasper, I mean, I mentioned Jaland Lowe when he's coming off of a pick, like that's scary. But Jasper also, I mean, he's one of the shiftiest dudes in the country. So
Yeah.
he's definitely going to be a nightmare to see for defenders that are seeing him come off. But yeah, his assists were awesome. I'd like to see those kind of stay around that mark all year, and then obviously maybe he'll end up scoring more as the year goes on too.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. There's only one other player I really want to mention. We'll get a little bit more into the stats for UK, but Cam Williams, again, he had another rough night. 0 for 3 from the three-point line, and I just want him to start making some shots. Like maybe he starts to attack the rim instead, like going for layups or dunks instead of trying to shoot threes and see if that sparks his offense. But he also contributed in other categories. He had 4 rebounds and 1 block, so he was at least rebounding and defending. And of course, once you get your defense going, hopefully your offense can get it going as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like for him is like so mental. Like there's a lot of truth to like the got to see one go through. So like you said, maybe attacking the rim, maybe just trying to get a floater, maybe him getting in like a pick and roll type of thing. Like maybe you do just need him to do that just to like start to get some feel for it a little bit. Um, but that's the scary part too, is like once he gets going, like I haven't given up on him. I don't think really anybody has.
Yeah.
Like I saw a lot of the fan base kind of talking about him right after the game where they're like, wait till this guy wakes up. Like wait till this guy's here
Mhm.
also. Because I mean he seems so hesitant. This game it wasn't near as bad, in
Mhm.
my opinion, but like in the exhibitions and in the Nichols game, I was like, dude, just shoot that. Like let it
Yeah.
fly. Like you are a shooter, just
Mhm.
shoot that. Like I don't know. That's what you're here for. So
Mhm.
like I said, this game I didn't necessarily have that thought. I don't remember him skipping out on too many like
Mhm.
opportunities for it. But I'm excited just to see him get going. I feel like it's going to happen soon. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's going to be in this Louisville game or if it's going to be maybe Eastern Illinois or something else after that. But
Mhm.
I definitely think he'll end up figuring it out soon, and that lid will come off the basket.
I sure hope so because, like, I remember, like, this was probably 2 weeks later on into the season last year, but many people were saying, even me including, I was like, is it time to bring Kobe Brea into the starting lineup and replace him, Jackson Robinson? Of course, Cam Williams isn't starting, but at the same time, like, he's coming off the bench, and if he's not performing, he's going to start to get fewer and fewer minutes, going more into the season.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's a good comparison too, because like Jackson ended up figuring it out, and
Yeah.
hopefully that's what Cam ends up doing. And I mean, they're not the same player, but they do have similar type of things. And I mean, I think I don't know if it's gonna be was Jackson's like. I remember he popped off at Mississippi State. That wasn't like his first, the first one where
Gonzaga,
it was
I
like,
feel like, was
oh
his
yeah,
first
well, yeah,
like
yeah,
big game.
Gonzaga, where he,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like that one he had to. He was just like there was no
yeah, because
choice. Everybody was out.
he was the point guard.
Um, yeah, he literally had to play like point guard, shooting guard, small forward. But I feel like there's gonna be one of those games soon. Like I don't know if it's gonna be like one of these tough games coming up or what's gonna happen with Cam, but I feel like he is gonna have one of those where we'll just get to see it and he's gonna hit 4 or 5 threes or something, and you're just gonna be like, yep, there it is.
Yeah,
That's the kid that we were waiting to see.
hopefully he does that against Louisville, maybe.
That would be awesome. This would be, oh man, it would make people fall in love with him right away. It's like, oh, you were just saving it. You were just
Yeah,
waiting till
he was
Louisville, and
the
then you're
best
opening up.
for sure. But I just want to talk a little bit more about the stats before we get into this Louisville game. I just find it insane. UK had 68 attempts. They made 37 of them, but they also had 27 assists of the 37, like makes that they had. So it's insane that they had 27 assists out of the 37 makes that they had. Like only 10 weren't from assists.
Yeah, that is crazy. And that was, I think it was this game, but I know he does it a lot. Is Cody Figure? If you have his post notifications on, that's exactly what he tweets like right away. He's like, "Great team win, 27 assists." Like it's like that's the goal, along with the shooting threes, which we almost got to that mark of shooting 30 again. And I mean, if we continue to shoot better, I mean, shoot 40 of them, I don't care. But yeah, the 27 assists is definitely a big takeaway.
Yeah. Another thing I want to pop out is they had, of course, 27 assists, but they only had six turnovers. If you're only turning the ball over six times or fewer, like I feel like the magic number to for anybody to win a game is to have 10 turnovers or less to win a game. Like, of course, a lot of teams have 12, 15 turnovers a game, but I feel like if you can get it down to 10 or less, you're going to win any game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And the number 6 is just crazy. Like that was one thing I didn't like recognize as the game was happening, where I was like, man, we're just not turning it over. But it's one of those things that you see after the game, and you're like, man, that's exactly why everything felt like it had a lot more flow to it. And I think a lot of that is probably Jalen being back as well. It was like you have a guy that you feel very, very safe with when he's got handling the ball and running the offense instead of forcing guys into that role that aren't necessarily comfortable with that.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, their bench points for UK, they stepped up, have 40 bench points. Points in the paint, they have 48 of their 107, so still pretty well. The only other thing I really want to mention for this Valparaiso game is I just want UK to still cause more turnovers against their opponents. I feel like that's the one thing that they struggle with Mark Poe, like being coached, like they can rarely ever get steals or turnovers. Valparaiso only had 10 turnovers against UK. I just want UK to step that number up, see if they can start turning their opponent over more like 15, 20 times a game.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be a whole nother layer to it too, because like I know any of the offensive minded like coaches in college basketball or in any basketball, they love to like create stuff off of turnovers, like whether they want to end up running actions off of it or just fill the lanes properly and get points that way. But I mean that would definitely be a big key part of that. And I mean off of turnovers, we ended up with 15 points. So yeah, definitely more turnovers would result in a lot more. And I don't know if that's like being more aggressive up on the ball or if it's going to be more trying to jump passes instead. But like the defense has been incredible, but that's the one thing that like we're not turning it over a
Yeah.
ton. We're not forcing a ton of turnovers for them.
Yeah, and it's always been like that. I feel like under Mark Pope, like last year, we struggled to have turnovers against the opposing team, like getting the opposing team to have more turnovers.
Yeah, I definitely get that. But I mean, this year so far, like obviously I would have wanted maybe less than 59, but I mean that's kind of being picky.
Yeah.
But this was exactly what I was saying like in the offseason. I was like, this team's gonna be a lot more fun like
Mhm.
against these bad teams because last year, I don't know, I don't have a game in mind like off rip, but like I feel like we would score like 110 but give up like 75.
Yeah.
In these games, it's like, man, we're gonna get the 95 plus, but then we're also gonna hold them below 60. And that's what we did. Like we score 107, hold them to 59, but like you mentioned, I would like to see more turnovers. That would just be
Mhm.
a kind of another layer to this defense.
I agree, but do you have anything else you want to add before we transition to this Louisville game? Of course, It's top 10 or UK's number 9, and then Louisville is, I believe, number 12. So it's not a top 10 matchup, but it's a top 15 matchup at least.
Now, the only thing I do want to mention is that they highlighted a lot on the broadcast that Raheem Chaney kid, that freshman, that
Uh-huh.
dude's going to get paid pretty well wherever he ends up going. That was the big takeaway. He was solid for them.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the Valparaiso stats, but like you were saying, 15 points for him, 5 for 10, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line. So if he does transfer somewhere else, he'll definitely get a big payday somewhere.
Yeah, and I hate that's kind of the perspective, but it is true. It's like I mean,
Yeah.
they Valparaiso is also going to do that to some D2 kid. So like
Yeah.
it's just kind of the cycle of it. But I did want to highlight him just because
Yeah.
he impressed me big time.
Yeah, I really didn't want to go over the opponents too much because it was such a blowout. We won 107 to 59, so nothing really to talk about the opponents other than like wanting more turnovers.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but let's get into this Louisville game. Louisville, they killed their opponent. They won 104 to 45 against South Carolina State. The game was not ever close. And it's just insane how small they go with their starting five lineup. Like I believe other than of course Sananda Frew, like other than them, they're pretty short. Like of course you've got to admit Mikael Brown Jr., he's pretty tall, 6'5", but like they run a four guard lineup for the most part. Like Ryan Conwell is 6'4", Javon Hadley 6'7", but and then of course Isaac McNeely is 6'4" too. So they run basically an all guard lineup other than their big men.
Yeah, and I feel like that was. I mean, I feel like they kind of have to because they got Sananda through, but they loaded up in the portal and like
Yeah,
the first four commits I think were the
guards.
guards of like I think I don't remember who the first one was, but like it was well they had Michael out of high school, but then it was like Conwell,
Mhm.
McNeely, and Woolley, and it was like what are the who's gonna sit? Like it was kind of I didn't know who how that whole thing was gonna work out, but it was like I mean like what Cal said when you have good guys at the same position play them both like
Yeah.
so they're just playing all their guards, so they're definitely kind of small, but Sananda Fru he's kind I mean he's they're big, but like he's not been great. I haven't been super impressed with
Mhm.
him so far. So I'm interested to see how much he like plays like if
Mhm.
they end up going Pryor and Khalifa instead, because Khalifa his defense is a little bit better, but that was always the big worry with him was like I mean he's not a great defender, but um their front court's definitely been the weak spot for
Yeah.
them.
For sure. And like you were saying, it'll be interesting to see if they do replace Sanenda Frew and, maybe put in Kasean Pryor. Of course, he just came back from his torn ACL that he had yesterday, or not yesterday, but against South Carolina State. That was his very first game since turning his ACL last year. So, you could potentially trade and replace Sanenda Frew for Kasean Pryor.
Yeah, yeah, he was weird because like last year I was never like very impressed with Kasean Pryor, but like he he's definitely like an electric like spark piece. Like he's gonna try to come in and he'll probably try to pick fights or something, but he's also a guy that just like flies around. He'll probably be a guy that's jumping at every pump fake, just trying to do something to get that
Mhm.
crowd back behind him. So I could definitely see a world where he ends up doing that. But I mean, he played 16 minutes in his first game back, and
Mhm.
so I could definitely see him getting some big time minutes for them. But yeah, they're just not. They don't have a ton of depth front court wise, and that's why I'm excited to see what our front court can do against them.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting because everybody knows about UK's and Louisville's backcourt. Like, our guards, their guards, it's going to be an insane game with our guards. It literally, I feel like it'll come down to both front court play because, of course, you've got Brandon Garrison, who will not be your starting five once Jaden Quaytons returns, but it'll be interesting to see how Garrison and Marino can shape up against their big men because, like, they have quite a few. They've got Fernanda Cruz. They've got Khani Rooths, Ali Khalifa, like the list goes on and on for Louisville's big men compared to UK where they don't have quite as many.
Yeah, I do think I feel like it's the difference is like the quality over quantity type of thing though. Like I think our I mean, even with Yelovich, I think we have three that are better than any of theirs. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not even like a biased opinion. So I think we have three that are better than any of theirs, but they have like you mentioned. I mean, like they have like six probably. So they have guys that they can play, but
Mhm.
I just like I'm interested to see which one kind of steps up to be able to be the one to play against us. But you mentioned JQ. It's so funny they just avoided JQ at all costs. That was the one thing.
Yeah, because they wanted the game so early.
Yeah, yeah. They were like, we got to make sure that man, that monster isn't back yet.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I forgot to mention though, Kentucky is #1 in the Ken Palms, so that's great to see. And I don't think they've been #1 in the Ken Palm since like 2014, 2015, like whenever we
Well,
went first.
we hit number one. I think it was at one point in the Robin Reed year. It was like one time, and it was just because of how good the offense was. It was I want to say it was like early in the year on some. It was something crazy, but like I feel like this is a true number one Ken Palm where it's like we actually feel good about like we know this team is that good. I think the whole year with Rob and Reed and them like it was kind of like I mean maybe this team will be all right, but the defense was never like up to par with the offense.
I feel like Reed and Rob. Yeah, I'm on.
Oh, classic,
Yeah,
classic.
classic for sure. But we're going to continue to talk about this. I just realized that I had the wrong game up. I thought their last game was against South Carolina State. It was
No, yeah, that was the first one. Then they played
yeah,
Jackson
South,
State.
it was in Jackson State, so I had the wrong game up. But like I said, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I don't know if you saw Pat Kelsey's comments though today. He basically was saying that uh he wished that Kasean Pryor did not say his comment about UK. Basically, if y'all didn't see Pryor's comment, he said earlier that last week he said, "We'll see you guys Tuesday after the win." And then he said, "Forget them talking about UK." And basically, Pat Kelsey was like, "I wish I could have like tackled him before he said that comment, you know?"
Yeah, it was definitely a bad choice of words for him, but I mean, he saying F him, I was like, bro, like
Yeah,
there's no way that your first game back being that guy. Like I was mind blown by it.
yeah,
But it is funny that PK was just like, yeah, I mean, I wish I could have. That's a very PK thing. I felt like I like if you could have like programmed like it was like all right well what's PK gonna say is his reaction to this like yeah I wish I could just tackle him
yeah,
um but yeah it was definitely a wild comment that I think BBN got within like 30 minutes and just ran with it
uh-huh.
and it was kind of like yep you guys added fuel to the fire and you all can thank Kasen for whatever happens
Yeah,
on Tuesday.
I agree. And like I said, a lot of players are talking about it like, oh, Tago Way was like, I'm just ready to see them now, like after that comment.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Jalen had the one comment too where it was like he also kind of I wish he wouldn't have said the after we win part
After
because I
we
mean
win.
Jalen kind of commented on that too. So
Yeah.
like I wish he wouldn't have said that, but you can tell definitely the guys are ready for it. And I
Yeah.
mean BG and his if you remember his coming back video was the Louisville game. Like I think he's definitely one that's gonna be fired up, ready to roll in this one.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be fired up. Hopefully, like Garrison and Otego Way will play like they did against Oklahoma both games. Hopefully, they can just do that against Louisville.
Yeah, hopefully so. 'Cause, I mean those versions of those guys are the best that we've gotten to see.
Yeah, meanwhile, for Marino, he said, honestly, there's no reaction. We don't pay attention to outside noise. We're just keeping everything in-house and we're just prepping to be ready for Tuesday. So, like I said, that's going to be just insane. Like every player is ready for this matchup, every coach is ready for this. And of course, you also can't forget Mark Pope. He will not have to have jury duty for the Louisville game. So thank the Lord on that.
Yeah, that is clutch. He's off for it. But there's also like all the connections. Like I mentioned I mean Jasper and Malachi being the in-state kids that are Kentucky guys, and then they're playing against the rival that they hated their whole life growing up. But then you also get this is the first time since PK and Mark Pope had their little disagreement over Taylor Kinney. So they had that little thing. And then there's also on the other sideline a former Mark Pope player with Ali Khalifa where he was
Oh,
with him at BYU. So
mhm.
you get there's a whole lot of connections here. And then it's obviously already going to be a crazy game, a top 12 matchup, top 11 in Kim Palm.
Mhm.
and it's just two of the best offenses in the country. And you get to like, there's another good game Tuesday. I think it might be Arizona, Illinois. I can't remember. There's a good game Tuesday, but the country's going to be watching this. Like all
Yeah.
eyes will be on this game, and you're going to get to see that. You're going to see a sold out crowd. So there's so many just little storylines, and you can tell just from,
Mhm.
I mean, the guys' reactions. Like they're kind of trained to be like, yeah, we're not really paying attention to that. It's just like it's whatever. It's just another game, man. But like deep down, these guys are locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah, you're right about all the different storylines. And at first, Ali Khalifa wasn't supposed to get another year of eligibility for Louisville. He got like, of course, the NCAA's original ruling was like he's not allowed to have another season. But then, of course, he got a lawyer got involved, and he was able to get another year for Louisville. And of course, he missed last year. He was, I believe, recovering from a torn ACL injury. I could be wrong. I know it was a knee injury, but he missed all of last year to recover from that injury at least.
Yeah, he definitely missed all of last year, and then I think yeah, it was the ACL, and then they just like redshirted him, and they I mean they have trained him up a lot. Like he slimmed down, and that's
Yeah.
what I think has made a big impact on his defense because like he was just slower feet
Mhm.
when he was like at BYU, but now you're going to see a new version of him where he's a lot quicker, a lot more versatile. So it'll be a different version of what Pope had with him, where he was more of a like an offensive like distributor and facilitator with Pope, but then now you'll get to see him in a different role, and he is one of the best passing bigs in the country. So I think we'll get to see that. But I think it's gonna be cool because that guy is such a threat to most teams, and you're getting the guy that trained him to do
Yeah.
that. So like it's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah, we'll see if he will get a lot of assists because, of course, with Mark Pope's offense, it was all about their big man being like at the top of the key, top of the three-point line, and trying to find the wide open player. You saw it last year. You saw it last year with Amari Williams, and of course, uh, Pat Kelsey's offense is a little bit different compared to Mark Pope's offense, of course. But like I said, it's going to be another insane game with a lot of scoring. And, I mean, last year was a lot of scoring, and of course, it was the Lamont Butler game, and hopefully that's the case again, where another player steps up big for UK, and like UK gets another win.
Yeah, you mentioned the scoring, and you mentioned we're number one in Kim Palm, they're number 11, but the scoring, the offensive rating for us is 11, the offensive rating for them is 3. So it's two teams in the top 11. Like there's going to be points, points,
Thanks.
points, but the difference is our defense is 4, theirs is 35. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
that'll help us out a little bit. But yeah, there's gonna be points no matter what, and
Mhm.
they've dominated. You mentioned the South Carolina State game; they were up 89-26 at one point in that game, and then in between the two games, they've won by an average of 42 and a half. And it's not like they've just defensively been able to do that.
Mhm.
What was the first game score? It ended up being 104-45 and then 106-70. So they've put up points. And now that we've seen our fully healthy, well, I
Mhm.
guess for the time, fully healthy team, we put up 107. So like we're going to get some points for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, it was a high scoring game last year. I think it was what 93-85 something last year. Like it was an insane game.
It was something very, very close to that. It was definitely the two point guards going at it, but it was I mean Lamont won that battle because he went perfect, didn't he? Wasn't that the big thing about
Yeah,
that game is he just didn't
he
miss.
went perfect last year against them. Yeah, it was 93-85. I guess you're right.
Yep. There you go. I do remember last year it was like I don't remember ever actually thinking like, oh, we're actually gonna lose this. Like I never thought like we were a threat to I was kind of shocked that they stayed in it closer than I thought, which they ended up being a good team anyways, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a problem. But yeah, I mean it was a game where I was like, man, we're gonna win this, like from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, we had the lead for the majority of the game. Like, it felt like we were always up between like 8 to 12 points throughout the game. Like, Louisville just couldn't get any closer than like 8.
Yeah, I definitely got that vibe because I mean we were up 6 at half, and then yeah, it felt like 8-12 the whole time, and they'd like right when we would be about ready to blow the lid off of it, they just hit some like three or something. It was like,
Yeah.
dude, you've got to be kidding me. But it was a fun game last year, high scoring, like you mentioned. I'm hoping that our defense is able to disrupt them a lot more this year. Hopefully, they're not anywhere close to 85. That would be ideal.
Mhm.
And then maybe our offense can get clicking and maybe score more than we did last year.
I agree. And now I'm actually looking at the right game with Jackson State versus Louisville. But I take that back. They ran a three-guard lineup for the Jackson State game, and then they had two forwards with Sanander Frew and then, of course, Khani Rooths. So their guard lineup was Isaac McNeely, Ryan Conwell, and then Mikael Brown Jr. So, Louisville and UK, they're doing the same thing where UK is running a three-guard lineup and then having two forwards, and Louisville's doing the same too.
Yeah, that Ruth's was like really good last year as a
Last year.
freshman, but he's I mean he's gonna be he's gonna be good for him this year too, and he's leading them in points right now. I didn't even realize that he was the guy, but I think he's kind of feasting off everybody else, getting a lot of attention. I think Ryan Conwell is definitely, I think, gonna be their best player all year, and so he's kind of the guard to watch out for big time.
Really?
But yes, I mean I think Michael Brown he's obviously gonna get drafted. I think Conwell's definitely a better player though.
What? I don't know
Definitely, I
about
think
that. I
so.
think Mikael Brown Jr. is the best player for Louisville. And I know he's
I
only a freshman, but
I think
that's a
it's
hot take.
Conwell. Because I've been watching Conwell for years. Like when he was at Indiana State, I was a fan of him. So like I've seen him for a while. He's also a bigger threat in my opinion. Like Michael, he's just so inconsistent. Like he had the absolute stinker against Kansas, but then he has a good game. It's like I think he's just gonna be up and down all year. I think Conwell. I think the worst version you'll see of him is like a 14-6 guy. Like that's just the bottom that you'll see when I think Michael's gonna have games with like 2 points where he's like one for eight or something. But I do think Conwell is better than Michael Brown though, for sure.
Dang, that's like a crazy hot take.
I don't know if it's super hot. I feel like I've seen some people say that. I feel
Hmm.
like I've seen
I don't
I feel
know.
like I want to say Phil to 68 kind of thought that too.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. But I that's just my opinion because I've always been a Conwell guy. That's why I hate to see him at Louisville. But
Yeah.
I've liked him for years though.
Yeah, he's a senior this year, of course, 6'4", 215 pounds for Conwell. But like I said, let's talk about a little bit more about matchup wise on who we think will be guarding who and everything. Like I said, Louisville, they're running three-guard lineup along with two forwards. So I don't know. I feel like maybe you put probably either Denzel Aberdeen or Ortega away on Michael Brown Jr. just because he's a little bit taller, 6'5", and both of those players they are muscular and everything, and they don't have a lot of height, but they are a little bit bigger compared to Jaland Lowe. I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we match them like height wise with size, but I think yeah, we definitely have a lot more muscle. I feel like they're not that they're like I mean Michael definitely. I mean he's not super strong. I think like some of the other guys have some more strength to them, but I would agree probably to start I'd say away
Mhm.
on Michael Brown.
Yeah, and then I would say probably Ryan Conwell. Probably you would put Denzel Aberdeen on him, and then probably for Isaac McNeely, I would say put Jalen Lowe on him. I would say.
Yeah, I think McNeely's weird because he won't ever have the ball like in his hands. He's an off ball guy, so it's gonna be weird. Like maybe they end up going Jalen on Mike Hill just to
Yeah.
have like speed wise. I know the length is going to be maybe a problem, but maybe they end up going like Jalen on Mike Hill and then Owe on Conwell and then Aberdeen on McNeely. I feel like that might end up being what they do just to
Better.
like
Mhm.
yeah, just to have Denzel kind of be able to help off a little bit. I know McNeely's got an absolute sniper though. He's one of the best shooters in the country, so that's kind of a worry. But I think if you have a 6'5" Aberdeen on him, I think you're going to be okay with that. But the guards is definitely going to be an interesting thing. That's going to be the key part going into it. Who I'm interested just to see who we match up on each.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that. Like I said, the guard play is going to dictate on who wins this game. I feel like.
Yeah, and it's weird because like I feel like our guards. I don't. It's hard to argue that like ours are better, but I feel like, I mean, we definitely have more. Like, I feel like the quality and quantity is on our side with that. Like,
Mhm.
we have more just dudes in the backcourt. I feel like we have just depth with it, and then obviously if some of the guys pop off, I mean, like if Colin shoots how he did
Mhm.
in Valparaiso game where he's shooting 50%, like I mean,
Mhm.
that the depth is crazy because they have those three, and then they'll have Woolley.
Mhm.
And I mean, they have Kobe Rogers that's back too, but I feel like Woolley's more of a
Yeah.
like a threat to come in and kind of do something because he was one of the best guard transfers in the portal. But yeah, I just feel like we have so much more depth that we'll be able to maybe tire out their guards because they do start three of them at least. So
Yeah.
maybe you do get to kind of see that where that second wave of guys come in and kind of wear them down a little bit.
Because of course UK's bench, you've got Jasper Johnson, Colin Chandler coming in. It's like insane, and you saw how much better Chandler plays when he's off the ball, and hopefully that can continue to happen. Because I'm very excited to see, of course, what the whole team can do, but what Chandler can do coming off the bench. Like I'm excited about that. Hopefully he can continue to play off the ball because, like you were saying, like UK's guard depth might be better than Louisville's guards overall.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that it's just funny to think about that we have those guys coming off the bench. Like that's just mind blowing to me. And like last game, I know he'll probably start in this one, but like Jaland Lowe, like last game it was Jaland Lowe, Jasper Johnson coming off the bench. Now it's probably gonna be yeah, Colin Chandler and Jasper, and then it's just like insane. It's like all right, yeah, you guys played all right against our starters, but now we'll just bring in this 5 star and then another guy that's been popping off recently. So
Yeah.
it's crazy the depth that we
Bringing it
have.
back up. Well, let's start talking about the fours, though. So I feel like probably the best matchup for at least the big men, I would say probably would be Mo Dioubate on Khani Rooths to begin the game, and then of course Brandon Garrison on Sananda Fru. I feel like that's my honest opinion. I don't know about you though.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be the case. Roos is just he's an interesting guy because he's like a high flyer. So like I think if Mo can kind of just keep him away from the rim, I feel like that'll be a big key for that. But then yeah, Fru's just a big dude. Not really a bruiser, but I feel like BG like that's definitely a matchup for BG that I think he could win. Um, and yeah, I think that's probably the matchup that I would go with. And do you remember the funny thing that it just hit me like looking at their lineup? But do you remember Sanana Fru coming up with that lie in the summer? Because he had played last year with Trey Mitchell in like Germany or something, and
Uh-huh.
he said Trey Mitchell told me that Louisville has the best
Oh,
fan base in the country, and it was like, all right, man.
it was
And Trey
it was the
Mitchell
loudest arena, I think.
or loudest arena or something. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
it was louder than Rupp or something. And Trey was like, I didn't say that. He was like,
Yeah.
I did not say that at all.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That it was pretty funny. Of course, Trey called out that lie immediately. He's like, I never said that at all.
Yeah, he knew. I
Yeah.
mean, Sonata Frew, he hopped in on the rivalry right away. He fit the Louisville mold where he just made up a
Yeah.
lie right away, and so he definitely fits the Louisville role.
Yeah, of course. And it'll be interesting to see, like Louisville last year, they also had another Mark Pope player. It was Noah Waterman on Louisville. And UK was in the running for him, but of course we decided to get another player instead of Waterman. So like I said, it was very weird to see last year that Louisville had two BYU players under Mark Pope. Of course, last year Ali Khalifa didn't play, but Noah Waterman did. But it was interesting to see them at Louisville instead of coming to UK. Of course, Mark Pope shows his players. He decided, like let's go in a different direction. We don't necessarily need these players.
Yeah, and I think if he really, really, really wanted them, like they would have been cats. But
Yeah.
like you said, he went in a different direction, and but now, yeah, we get to see the other BYU guy that's still there with Khalifa. So he's definitely going to play a lot. I think there's a lot of Louisville fans that actually want him to start over Frew just because it like helps the offense get rolling like right off rip. And
I,
I mean, they scored 55 in the first half of their last game. Like it's not a problem,
mhm.
but I think that's going to be one thing that they may end up doing. I think they'll probably still start Frew, but maybe there is a world where they throw Khalif out there and maybe try to play a little bit of a mind game where they just throw Pope's former guy out there right
Yeah.
off rip.
Yeah, no, I'm more excited to see though the matchup between Pryor and Garrison. Like it's just so funny. Like I don't know if you saw that meme on Twitter the other day with the two kids going at it on Instagram Live. It was Kentucky Network that tweeted that out.
I don't think I saw it. I
It
don't I
was
don't think so.
so funny. Like, of course, it wasn't actually Pryor and Garrison. It was just two kids going at it on Instagram, and I could not like stop laughing.
What page put it out?
The Kentucky Network, I believe it's called.
Oh, okay.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna try to have to find it.
I saw that though. Like I said, it was just these two kids going at it on
Oh, all
Instagram.
right. Yep, I see it. That's spot on. That's spot on actually.
Yeah. I saw that though. I could not stop laughing. I didn't, of course, retweet it or like it, but it got me really laughing though.
Dude, yeah, that's funny. Those are spot on. But yeah, shout out Kentucky Network. That's goofy.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like I said, it's just going to be interesting because both UK and Louisville star players, they're going to step up. I really think it will come down to their big men play though to see who will actually step up for Louisville, who will actually step up for UK because like everybody needs to step up for both teams. And right now, I feel like at the end of the game, like the big men will have to figure out a way to step up, whether to get a key defensive like key block or a key defensive rebound, something like that. And I feel like that could decide the game though.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I want to see like yeah, whether it's BG or Malachi just kind of pop off and have 15 and 10 or something, like just one of those type of games that maybe gets them that don't they do like a belt for the MVP,
Yes,
the
the
best.
MVP pelt.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I want to see. I mean, BG, if he had that, he'd throw it right on the shoulder and walk around, L's down, and everybody. It'd be awesome. He would be going crazy with it.
Yeah, down.
But I do want to see one of the bigs just kind of pop up. Maybe this is a Yelovich game. Like I feel like that's a name we haven't talked about. Maybe he just goes out there and he's like, "Yep, this is easy." I mean, it's not a great defense, so it's like
Mhm.
maybe his European game just kind of fits in. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go out here and give us 15 off the bench.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to just making threes because Louisville, they didn't shoot the ball well against Jackson State 10 for 33. But I feel like it could also come down to just making your shots at like making shots from outside the 3-point line. Like it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Of course, I think as well, both teams, they've been struggling making free throws. I think UK only missed four against Valparaiso, but before that, like UK was struggling in the exhibition games. They struggled against Nicole State. I feel like it could also come down to free throws. Like it'll be a tight game, and whoever has the lead, they have to start making their free throws towards the end.
Yeah, 22 for 26 in that Valparaiso game. So that, I mean, that was definitely. Where did we go in the Nichols game? Weren't we much worse from
It
the
was
line in that one? It
awful.
was
Like we
yeah,
messed
12
up.
for 22 was
Yeah.
54% in that one. So yeah, it was that's definitely going to be a key part of it. And you're going into a hostile environment, but I'm interested to see like, just kind of how we like weathered the storm because they're definitely a team that like you mentioned they shoot a lot of threes, so they are live and die with it. Like they're going to play bad in some games because they aren't hitting shots. They're more reliant on it than we are. We have a lot of guys that can get downhill and get a bucket in many different ways, but they have a lot of guys that like predicate their game on shooting threes. So I'm interested to see like if they do hit two or three in a row and we call a timeout and the crowd's just losing their mind, like what's the response to that? I know guys like Mo's going to be perfectly fine in that environment. It's going to fuel him, but
Mhm.
I hope guys just like don't get in their head too much. Like I feel like BG at times he might just say it's like Brandon Garrison time. Like I hope that doesn't end up popping up. But I feel like he's going to have a big game. This front
Yeah.
court's going to be the key
Yeah.
piece of it.
Yeah, I feel like for this game, Mark Pope's squad, they have to stay disciplined, confident, and be ready for the rivalry intensity because it's going to be loud in that arena. Of course, a lot of UK fans will be definitely at that game. I would not be surprised potentially there are more UK fans than Louisville fans.
Yeah, I think it'll probably still be more Louisville just because it's like the first time that they've actually had a home game that they think they could win. Like
Mhm.
since probably that the Fox and Monk and them, like because
Yeah,
they had the one in during COVID, but that
yeah,
wasn't full capacity. Um, but like I feel like this is the first one where they're like, yeah, well, yeah, we can actually have a shot in this game. So I feel like it might be, but for me, like I live around like the Louisville area, so I've actually been in that arena like quite a bit, whether it's concerts and I mean, I've been to a couple of games that I got like free tickets to and stuff, and I've never seen that arena completely full. Like I went to the game last year when they played Tennessee. I was hoping both teams would lose that game, but I
yeah,
was looking up and I was like, how is this not all the way full? Like there were still end zones open. I was like, you will never see Rupp for anything remotely close to a big game have one open seat. And so I think this is going to be like one of the rare games where they do have every single seat is sold out. And I think that's going to be maybe it's more Louisville, but I don't think it's going to be by much. Like Kentucky Blues definitely going to get in
yeah. Blues
for
going
sure.
to travel for sure. But like you were saying, well, Louisville, like not many fans were expecting like what under Pat Kelsey's first year. Like it was early on for that Tennessee game. I remember I was thinking to bet on that game. I'm like, I feel like Tennessee's going to cover the spread. I never actually did bet on that game. I came close, but of course Tennessee blew out Louisville last year during that game, and it wasn't even close. But then Louisville got a ton better with Pat Kelsey being their head coach. Of course, they got to the NCAA tournament, lost to Creighton in the first round, but they had a way better record last year than the year before with, of course, their previous head coach.
Yeah, yeah, the Kentucky plant throwing KP over there to
Yeah,
ruin it
can he
all.
win those games?
Yeah, yeah, Kenny won those games, but yeah, I mean, the revival it was really like corny and all that, but like it did end up like he did kind of bring the city back. And um living around the city, like you do get a vibe of like I do have a lot of friends that are sadly Louisville fans, and there's a whole new juice to them. So yeah, it's definitely worked what he's done so far. And I mean, this is the biggest game that they've had since, I mean, probably since freaking Patino was there. Still, like they haven't played a game this big in a
And
long time. The
yeah,
Tennessee game had a little bit of buzz to it last year, but like, I mean, PK still had to go around campus and like ask people to come to the game. So
yeah,
it didn't have quite this. This one, it needs no explanation. This
yeah.
is
I feel
the
like
top two rivalry in the sport. So it's gonna
yeah,
be there's a lot of juice to it.
yeah, I feel like this is the biggest game since probably that 2018-2019 season where Louisville, I think, was what ranked number one or in the top five, and UK was ranked in the top 10 that year. Of course, UK won in overtime. I was at that game. It was insane seeing Nick Richards go off, Tyrese Maxey, Ashton Higgins, you name it. Like it was such an
And
insane.
that was the 1920 team, right? Because it was
Oh
like
yeah,
the
2019-2020 team that
yeah,
was
yeah,
at
that
that.
game was definitely had a lot of juice to it. But like that one was in Rupp. It was
Yeah,
rocking for that
it
one.
was
But yeah,
rough.
they were highly ranked that year. But
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a this whole era, this whole like PK era, it's kind of like
Mhm.
there's a different type of thing to it where they like because they went from Patino, who was always they were always up there, and then they had a little bit of the scandals, all that, the bad stuff, but then they get straight to Mac, he does good, but then they went all the way down to the bottom of the barrel, and
Mhm.
then now they're on the way back up. So I feel like there's a new like juice to it that
For
PK has
sure.
brought to the city, and yeah, it's gonna be a massive game. Like their fans are gonna this is gonna dictate like their like entire season. Like if they lose this game, they're cooked. Like we
Yeah.
know that if there was a slim chance that if we lost this game, like, I mean, we'll be all right. It's still time for now, and we're gonna get a
Yeah.
top five pick back here soon. Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of optimism
Yeah.
in either way. This game, if they lose it, they're like, oh, get PK out of here. He's not getting it done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's gonna be some like crazy overreactions if they lose this one for
Yeah,
sure.
same here with UK though. Like you'll be an overreaction no matter what. But like you were saying, there's going to be a lot of optimism with Jaden Quayton's eventually returning for Kentucky. I think that's the one last storyline that I want to talk about before we get into score predictions and the game MVP. But Jaden Quayton, he came so close last year going to Louisville. Of course, he ended up at Arizona State. Everybody was putting predictions in that Quayton would end up at Louisville. I'm thinking to myself, like, that would have been so insane to see him at Louisville. And if he goes there, they probably do defeat Kentucky last year.
Yeah, I mean, probably, and he was definitely very close. It was like one of the last schools I was really worried about it. But then he ends up going to Arizona State and kind of stays out of everybody's vision out there. So I was very thankful for that. But now he's on the good side, so I'm
Yeah,
glad he never ended up there.
yeah, I'm glad he didn't end up there. But let's get into the score predictions and game MVP, and then we can also talk about Christian Collins to wrap up the podcast.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to mention this right before, but the line came out this morning.
Yeah,
Did you
just
see
first
that?
half, right?
It
Louisville,
just moved to 2.5.
2.5 Louisville.
So it's
Yeah.
dropped one. Yes.
Yeah, we'll get into the that with the game predictions and the MVP, but let's get into it. So I think it's going to be another close game, but I do think UK probably does end up with another win against Louisville for the second year in a row. Mark Pope is 2-0 against Pat Kelsey. And I'll say the game will be a little low scoring compared to last year, but I do think UK wins 88-81. I think it'll be close throughout the whole game, and I just think UK will make a few free throws at the end to win by 7 points. And for my MVP, I'll go with again the guard play. Let's go with Jaland Lowe. I feel like he's going to probably drop a double double. Let's go with 15 points and 10 rebounds, along with like 4 rebounds.
Okay. Okay. Um, so yeah, I mean, you obviously have us covering because we're technically the underdog. So,
Yeah,
um, I
technically the underdog.
also, I also have us covering. I have us winning almost comfortably. I think it's going to be some free throws at the end that end up making it look a little bit worse than what it was. But I think it's going to be an up and down game, back and forth a lot of points. But I have us getting over 90, 92 to 80. I think it's going to be close, but then there at the end, we have a couple baskets that kind of end up being the daggers and they foul us and get a couple free throws late. But for my MVP, we've talked about the front court. The front court is going to be key in this. Like it's going to be a big point. And I think the Kentucky kid, Malachi Moreno, ends up winning MVP, comes off the bench and puts up maybe not 18 and 10, but I think he does some things and maybe it's a couple blocks added in there. But I got Malachi Moreno as my MVP.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we both have UK winning. Like I said, like any other year, I feel like, like I feel like if in any other year though, it could easily go either Louisville or UK. It definitely could go like this year. Of course, last year everybody thought UK would win this game just because it was at Rupp Arena, but this year at KFC Yum Center, and it's going to just be an insane game. And like I said, any team could win between the two, and with it being at the KFC Yum Center, it'll be like an added fuel, added boost for Louisville to actually get this win over UK.
Yeah, this is definitely the games that you dream of playing in growing up, and I'm excited to see what the media team has in store too. Because last year, I don't know if you remember, they
Yeah.
made a video of like all the old like former players making like a video, kind of talking to the current guys. I don't know if it's gonna be something similar to that, but like the video, if you watch that as a Kentucky fan and you're not ready to run through a wall, then I don't know what's wrong with you because like those videos are crazy. And then shout out to Wildcat Woo, he made one, and I think he posted like yesterday. It's just awesome. It's a historic amazing rivalry. It's arguably number one in the sport. North Carolina and Duke have a little bit to say about that, but this one you get once a year, and it's not in conference. That's what I think gives it the edge. Like the other two, they have to play, and they could potentially play it 3 or 4 times in a year. This one, it's once, and then maybe you play them a second time, but it's always like deep in the tournament. So it's a crazy rivalry. You mentioned the juice and everything that's gonna be going on in the Yum. So it's gonna be an awesome game. Crazy
Yeah.
environment.
I didn't get to check out the Wildcat Woo video, but I'll definitely watch it after the podcast. But
Yeah, definitely got to.
like you were saying last year though, all the former players sending the current players stuff, it was insane just seeing that letter, seeing what they were saying to the current players, and hopefully the media team can do something similar like they did last year, do even something better. But like I said, this game is going to be insane. But we both have UK winning, and like you were saying, the point spread it has dropped. Of course, Louisville is 2.5 point favorites against UK now, so it'll be interesting to see if UK does win this game. I do believe they will. Of course, you too.
Yeah. And also I want to mention the over under is 169 and a half. That's the highest I've seen this college basketball season so far.
Yeah, so
It's
that
a
would
lot,
be
a lot of points.
stuff like 85 for each team, basically.
Yeah, yeah, about 85 each. So I mean it's up there. It's very high.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if both teams do cover that. I mean, both of their predictions, I believe, have them covering, right? Or I had 88, 81, so that would not be covering. It would be under just a little bit, I believe.
Wait, I had 92 to 80
80.
was
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah, I think,
So no, right?
yeah.
90. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, both. I think we both know it's gonna be high scoring though. That's gonna be the key
Yeah.
point with it.
Mine is under the point spread, so I have it exactly at 169. I have 88, 81. So we'll see if yours will go over the spread or mine will go under the spread with how the over under is.
Yeah, wait. So wait, yours was right at 169. So neither of us even knew it. I went and looked right after, and we were like right around the actual like over under.
Yeah,
That's kind of crazy.
that's insane to think about. Hey, we should be like the people making up the spreads. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
terrible
maybe
at
we're
that.
just Vegas. Maybe
Yeah,
we're Vegas.
maybe we're Vegas, but I would go under the 169 and a half though, in my opinion, but you've got the over for that.
Yeah. Well, for example, I was just trying to find another game where two good offenses already played this year. Arizona and Florida, we knew both of those teams would be high scoring, and that one was 164 and a half. So this one.
by
This one's
much.
gonna be up there. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot higher scoring than anything I've seen this year. But yeah, I have us going over that with 172.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to talk about one last thing for our basketball podcast. Of course, we'll have a football podcast later this week, but I want to talk about Christian Collins. Basically, all the crystal balls are coming in for Christian Collins to UK. Of course, Jacob Polacek put in a 60% RPM confidence that UK would land Christian Collins. And then, of course, Trilly Donovan, he put in his prediction that Collins would end up at UK, and it was so surprising because last week everybody was saying that he was going to commit, he was going to probably end up at either USC or UCLA, like he's staying out west, but surprisingly now he's coming to, Lexington apparently. Like, of course he hasn't committed just yet, but like most players who live out on the West Coast will stay out there.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like he's a kid that has that feeling of like kind of wanting to stay out west, but um like you said, I mean, it felt like everything pointed to him being like a USC lock and he's going to go and commit any second now, and then everything flipped. And like the one thing that kind of pulls him away from Cali is Mark Pope. Like he has always been like a huge fan of Mark Pope. Like people have talked to him about that, and yeah, it's awesome to see that. Like it flipped so fast. Like
Yeah,
I've never.
within a week.
It was crazy. Like it literally felt like it was Saturday when it all flipped, right? It was
Sunday.
it was Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just
I
remember I
know it
was
was
sitting there and
Saturday.
I
It was
was like,
Saturday. I
okay, I was
remember it was
thinking,
Saturday during the UK Florida game, I think it was, or maybe
yeah,
a little
I
bit before
remember
that.
like Saturday the first buzz that came out. It was like that morning, and it was like, oh, all right, well, I mean, maybe something's here. And then
Mhm.
it was like 2 hours later, Trilly like put in a prediction. I was like,
Yeah.
what in the like this happened crazy fast. So I'm interested to see kind of what happened. I know we'll probably mention a little bit of like the Stokes thing with it, but
Yeah.
it's just crazy how it all flipped so fast.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you don't know who Christian Collins is, he's a five-star power forward. He's from California. He's 6'8", 200 pounds from Bellflower, California. And honestly, like this is a big recruiting win for Mark Pope because he's never landed a big fish in the high school recruitment world. And of course, finally he gets to land his first ever five-star. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for him because right now, I feel like for Collins, he needs to work on his three-point shooting. I believe he only shot 21.2% from the three-point line during the EYBL season. So he definitely needs to improve on that. But he also averaged during that time 12.8 points and 8.7 rebounds per game. So you're going to get a player who can defend, score, and rebound, but he needs to work on his three-point shooting as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's one of those things that like once he gets in the system, I think it'll help him and lift his game a little bit. But if you just look across the country right now, and it was last year too, but like this year's freshman class is like unbelievable. Everywhere you look, like
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable how good they are everywhere.
Hmm.
And I think that not that that's a yeah, there's I mean the list is
Baker
insane.
Cameron Booth or Mikael
Koa Pete,
Bridges.
Tunde Yusufu,
Yeah,
Michael Brown, Neoclis Abdalas, like
yeah.
it's unbelievable how good all these. I mean, Nate Amint's been good for Tennessee. Like it's crazy, and it's like all of the top guys, and that's how it was last year too. Like it was a lot of those highly ranked guys. Basically, all the five stars panned out. This year, all the five stars are panning out so far. A couple games in, so I don't know if that's like part of it, but I think as a fan, like that's what should get you fired up. Like
Mhm,
no matter what style player he is, however Pope wants to use them, it's gonna work. Like it's
mhm.
this like age of kids that like I think it's just how everything's shifted with AAU and stuff, and now you're getting out of the kids that had to go through their growing during COVID.
Yeah,
Now you're getting out of that, and you're getting to see these dudes just absolutely like come in firepower, like right off rip as freshmen. So it's cool to be able to land a kid like this. Like you mentioned, the 3-point shooting probably needs to get up a little bit, but like we'll use a dude like this. Like we play multiple wings. We use length, being 6'8". That's very, very helpful. So he's a bucket getter. He's not a 3-point shooter as of right now, but maybe that
yeah.
changes. But he's really, really good all across the board. He's a do-it-all guy. So very, very exciting if we can
Yeah.
land him. And hopefully it's very soon that he
Well,
commits.
and who knows, he might be committed before we get this podcast uploaded, which would be insane. But Yeah, for him, he kind of reminds me not necessarily of his game, but he's known for his more mid-range shooting. So maybe like a Keon Brooks Jr. at UK, where he's not known for his three-point shooting, but known for his mid-range. So maybe you could compare him to that current or former UK basketball player.
I was about to say the same thing. I didn't know if we were going to do like a comparison type of thing, but I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
And I mean, ironically, they're 10 pounds difference and 1 inch difference in height. So
yeah.
that's definitely a comparison that I would have for him because he's an offensive threat, but like you said, it's not 3-point shooting. It's just kind of
Mhm.
getting a bucket how he wants to. He can get to his spots. He's super lengthy. He's got a decent handle. So yeah, I mean, really, really, really solid player.
Yeah, he's going to definitely be solid if he does end up at UK. I'm excited. But let's talk about Tyron Stokes and we'll end up the podcast. Of course, we briefly mentioned him last week in our podcast where he's down to three schools, but he also is no longer going to be at Notre Dame. He's looking at a new high school to go to or potentially early enrolling. But two different reports came out. Jack Pilgrim said that UK is still wanting both, that they still want Christian Collins and they also want Tyron Stokes. Stokes would play the three, Collins would play the four. But on the other hand, Trilly Donovan said that UK, he believes that UK is no longer in the running for Stokes, like they're just, saying goodbye to Stokes just because of other issues he's going through. So basically, that's what Donovan's saying, like, hey, UK is no longer considering Stokes, and they went all in for Collins instead.
Yeah, it's definitely a source off because I mean, one guy's saying one thing, one guy's saying another. So I'm interested to see. I would definitely lean more towards what the KSR guys are putting out because I feel like they're more.
Hmm.
I mean, also knowing the guys helps, but like I feel like they're just more in touch with the certain like kid and his family and stuff. But it's just interesting because like there's a big pivot for Stokes, like you mentioned. There's a lot of options, and maybe even overseas for a year, maybe going to overtime elite. Like maybe there's a lot of different things that could happen.
Yeah,
Um, and then I mean, obviously, early enroll would be best case scenario because he could just get in and get familiar with it. So that would be helpful for I think both parties, him and us. But yeah, it's just an interesting time with the whole Stokes thing because
yeah.
when it happened last week, everybody was like, "Well, Boogie had problems." Like, and it was like, "Oh, I mean,
Don't
yeah,
want
but like." Yeah, it was like this is a different scenario. Like these kids have a lot more leverage now, where he can just go and do whatever
Mhm.
he wants, and then he's also, I mean, he's going to get offered a bag from other schools too. So it's not quite the same thing. Where maybe we don't want to outbid somebody for Stokes when you don't really know what the whole scenario is going to look like.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he could also reopen his whole recruitment if he has to again. Like, he's down to three schools. He hasn't committed anywhere. He hasn't signed his national letter of intent, which is coming up soon. I think within the next month, players will start to sign that. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But at Stokes, if he has to, he could, of course, always reopen his recruitment again.
That is true. That is true. And as of right now, if it's not Kentucky, obviously, I think everybody would agree that we would like it to be Oregon.
Or,
I don't think,
yeah,
yeah,
sure.
we don't want to see him at Kansas because that
Yeah,
would be kind of scary. But and it feels like Oregon's probably getting ready to offer a bag of some
yeah.
sort. Like if they haven't already behind the scenes, I feel like it may come out that they're gonna offer him something crazy, similar to what BYU offered for AJ. So
Mhm.
like I don't know if it's gonna be that he ends up being a cat, but the interesting thing with like the difference between like landing Collins if we're able to do that and landing Stokes, it was like, yeah, Stokes is the big fish, but the pessimistic fans that are saying Pope can't recruit, they're still going to be like, well, he has Kentucky ties.
Yeah.
Christian Collins has no
No.
Kentucky ties at all. It's just going out to Cali, still a kid in Cal in USC and UCLA's backyard. So
Yeah.
that's what I think would be the interesting key part of that. With like, I mean, Stokes is still he technically has Kentucky ties, but
Uh,
he's been out for a while. So,
yeah.
but for the pessimistic fans, the Christian Collins would be a big get for that.
Yeah, he's been out in California, I think, for 6 or 7 years. Oh, wait, 6, 7. I just said, I don't
Yeah.
know. But
It's
yeah,
crazy how much that pops up in real life. Like how many times like just in your day you actually have to say like 6, 7.
yeah, 6, 7 now. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Of course, probably one of the main reasons why UK would potentially get Collins would probably because of Jason Hart. He's from California, has California ties. So I don't know if he's the main recruiter. I would assume he is since he has the California ties, but that's probably one of the key reasons why UK is going to end up getting Collins if it does happen because of Jason Hart.
Yeah, he is the lead recruiter in that recruitment. So, but yeah, you mentioned the Cali ties. Like it's just kind of one of those things. It's like a long ties to that state and I mean Southern Cal in particular. So it will hopefully it happens like soon. Like you mentioned, he could end up committing before this gets uploaded. Like it could be any second. It'd be awesome if he could just do it like while we were filming, but maybe that's not the case. But
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it's very soon. Hopefully it's early in the week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be early this week. That's what Truly Donovan said. But do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up this podcast?
I don't think so. I mean, L's down.
Else down.
Beat the Cards, man.
Woo, beat the Cards for sure. Like I said, we both believe that UK will defeat Louisville, and hopefully that's the case because we would love to come back onto the podcast next week and talk about UK whooping on Louisville.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'd be a very happy podcast. We can take down the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, if not, we'll just be sad and upset.
Yeah, but then pivot, and then we're gonna whoop up on Michigan State next week with a win or loss.
Yeah, for sure. But we appreciate you all watching on YouTube, of course, listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But we appreciate the support, and we're going to continue to bring out great content for you all.
Yep, loving it. Thank
Yeah.
you all.
But this is Chris Beesmore, and
And Cameron Waddle.
we're signing out. Have a great week, everybody.